CTO, CMCP, ENP. They're not just fancy letters after your name. They're your personal testimony to your knowledge, your professionalism, and your dedication to the industry. In many cases, they put you in the top percentage of your peers, and they'll ignite your career as high as you'd like to fly. Training is one of NENA's main value propositions to all of its members. And today we've got the privilege of sitting down with one of NENA's premier trainers, and that's coming up next on Tips Today in Public Safety.
Welcome to Tips Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's tips.
Hey, it's Fletch. I'm Northeast Regional Director at NENA, the National Emergency Number Association. We're here at NENA 2025 in Long Beach, California. And, one of the value propositions that the conference offers is training. And joining me today is one of NENA's premier trainers, Nancy Lockhart, ENP. Thank you so much for sitting down, and thank you for letting me kidnap you in the hallway and drag you into a little side room here.
That was very gracious. Thanks for having me.
So, I talk to a lot of people, and you are probably one of the most respected trainers that we've got. What's your secret that makes your courses just so popular?
I don't think there's a secret, really. I've been passionate about this industry for the almost 36 years I've been in it, and I absolutely adore the heroes that do this work every single day. Right? So when I get the opportunity to be in front of them, my hope is obviously they're going to take away some tools for their tool belts, but maybe I just validate the way that they've thought, about whether it's CTO or being supervisor, leadership, but mostly I hope they leave our classes with that sense of hope that there is better and they can do better and be more, because those folks that we get the honor to be in front of, that's the legacy we leave in 911. That is our future.
Yeah, and you teach a lot of different classes that you've developed over the years. What's your favorite one to teach?
Oh, wow. I love all of the NENA classes that I get to teach. I think CTO is one of my favorite because I feel that every job in the 911 center is extremely important, from line dispatcher to CTO to supervisor and the administrative staff. But I feel like the training officers, those are the ones leaving that legacy mark. And that is such an important job. And to do it right, do it the right way and train our folks to take the best care of our responders and our citizens and each other, I think that's vitally important to what we do.
You and I have been around this industry for since the 1900s, as I like to say.
Pretty much.
But, what Next Generation 911 has been, 20 years coming. It is finally here. And I'm glad it's finally showing up in real, because people were starting to question. How do you see that impacting our telecommunicators of the future? What do they need to do to really get ready for the next generation 911 evolution? Because their job's going to change.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think there's some things that are going to change that are pretty seamless to them, things that they may not necessarily notice. The introduction of more AI, the introduction of more and more agencies that are actually using video. I think their jobs are going to change a little bit from that perspective, and Dr. Lily's research is showing some interesting things, so she would be a good one to talk to as well. But having the ability to kind of get eyes on a situation, the ROIP, radio over internet protocol, those things may change a little bit more seamlessly, but I think what we're going to see is that anything we can imagine, we can do because of Next Generation 911. I'm really excited about AI and the work that it can take off of our dispatchers, the way it can recognize our dispatchers for the great work that they do that they won't report because they were just doing their job. I just see so many things. The sky is the limit, literally. The cloud's the limit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing about AI is that there are multiple facets of AI. There's obviously the technology, the call-taking side, the assistive AI that's going to help you do your job better. It's not replacing you. It's allowing you to do more faster. But the other thing I think is a big value, and not a lot of people are looking at this yet, is all of the statistical information that AI is going to have, and think about the real-time training environments that can create. I mean, we do this role play thing now, but we both know it's role play, and it's, yeah, okay, whatever. It's not bad, but put yourself up against an AI agent where you don't know what's going to come out of that. And that kind of turns up the real dial to 11, I think.
I do, and I think it's going to be more immersive training for the frontline telecommunicators, where they're actually experiencing, as much as we try in role playing, we can't necessarily portray that hysterical caller or that really angry caller the way that AI will be able to reproduce it.
Yep.
So I think the challenges of, having emotional hijacking, right? Because they hear this horrible, horrible thing and they're dumping adrenaline and they're getting nervous and they kind of freeze up on the call. It's great to freeze up in a training environment and start to find out where that's occurring and how to work through it. And I think AI is really going to assist with that.
Yeah, pilots don't land an airplane in a tough situation with half the systems out just because they happen to get it right that day. They trained for that scenario 100 times, right? So training is critical, but creating this realistic environment of a 911 center, it's almost impossible without AI.
And I'm really excited because vendors are starting to look at 911 and really understand the context of what we do. Everything from the training part of it to our wellness, to things that we should be recognized for. And I think there is a lot of magic that can occur there. It's going to be boundless. And to your point, and I love that you said that, it's not going to replace 911 dispatchers. This technology is incredible, but there is nothing more important than the 911 human that is sitting in that chair.
Plus, think about all the jobs that are going to be created because of AI. You're going to need AI trainers. You're going to need AI certifiers. Look, AI is going to have to take a test before it gets deployed in the center.
That's right.
Someone's got to do that.
That's right.
And someone's got to score it. Now, a lot of things can be automated, but you still need that human check valve in the middle.
That's right.
And that's critical. And I think, are people worried? What's your sense? Do people get worried about it?
I think it's a mixed bag. What I hear is, we're all going to be replaced. And the argument is you're not going to be replaced. AI can assist in offloading some of that workload so there isn't so much stress and pressure. And some of them are very excited for what AI can do. I think administrators are very excited about it because some dispatchers are not going to report when they had a really, really bad call. It's going to be the person next to them, or it's going to be a supervisor maybe, or it may not be caught at all. But the AI platforms that are out there that can say to an administrator or peer supporter, hey, you may want to go check on this person, that's pretty important. Mm-hmm. And so I think those things will make us a little bit more excited. But as 911 folks, we're all skeptical, right?
Of course.
It's like we all live in Missouri when we do that. Show me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's bred into your being.
Mm-hmm.
You're taught that.
100%. But I think, we're on a really good path. And to your point, AI is only as good as the information that it learns and its input, right? So you're going to need those people to verify its learning process. And I think that's important.
And it's never going to replace you.
As far as me as a trainer, I don't know. I think a chimpanzee could probably replace me, and it would be really, really good. But I just love that I get to be a NENA trainer. Right?
So give me one thing to wrap up. What's your advice to to a new employee in the industry, or an existing one that's been there, what can training do to empower their career? What's the path they should be focusing on?
They should always consider, of course, living in the upper left-hand box, right? Low frequency, high impact events, making sure you get training on that, but making those deposits into that training bank as often as you can. And when you have trained, don't rest on your laurels. The mindset should be, okay, what's next? What can I learn next? And my one piece of advice is remember this in 911, from just starting to middle management, is every day is a job interview when you walk into that 911 center. And your training, your education, your behavior, the way you treat others, that matters.
Excellent. Nancy, I really enjoy watching you teach. You just do an amazing job for this industry. Thank you. But thanks for sitting down and talking and kind of explaining a little more about what goes into it.
It's an honor on all accounts, my friend.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Tips Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on 911tips.com. That's 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG 911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the Weekend Countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way, I'm good.